Dating the Estuary is a teacher professional development program that is a part of a partnership between NOAA and the Chesapeake Bay office, Chesapeake Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve Program, and Chesapeake Bay Foundation.
Teachers are introduced to concepts that support environmental literacy, estuarine literacy, ocean literacy, and climate literacy. And we use data to tell the stories that connect those systems and those literacies.
The driving question for this workshop is, how does the Chesapeake Bay change? What drives those changes? And how do we monitor and look at and study the environment around here for evidence of that change? The purpose of this workshop is to do really two things. One is to provide an experience for educators from this region that basically gives them a chance to be out in the kind of one of the heartlands and one of the prettiest and one of the most diverse and biologically productive parts of the Chesapeake Bay, an experience that they can hopefully take home and incorporate into their teachings from the experiential side. The second goal is to also provide exposure to content in a whole bunch of different spheres. Like, one would be content around how the bay is changing and what may be driving those changes. Things like sea level rise, or increasing temperatures, or habitat change. And then the second part of the content is there is tons of data out there related to the Chesapeake Bay. It's one of the most and best studied places, I think, probably on the planet. And so accessing that data and using that data in education context, I think, represents a really powerful opportunity in the education world.
Our goal is to have our teachers feel more confident teaching about the Chesapeake Bay, teaching about climate change, feeling more comfortable working with data and numbers, scientific equipment.
Teachers get 3 MSDE, Maryland State Department of Education credits for participating in this course and in meeting the requirements expected of MSDE for credit work.
To get credit for this workshop, the biggest thing is participation. This is a 5-day workshop. It's pretty intense. These are very long days, but also very fun and engaging days out there. But participation is kind of number one. The second thing you need to do to get credit is to put together a unit plan. And a unit plan is made up of at least 3 lessons, and ideally that unit plan would include content from this workshop, so things like using some of the data. It would also should include a opportunity for students to ask investigative questions and pursue those investigative questions. You actually have to be in the environment that you're talking about and have that firsthand experience and personal connection to it, because that's a really huge part of engaging. And I would say the teachers having the opportunity to have that experience hopefully will promote their interest in having the students having that opportunity, because that in their connection is very important.
Because the teachers are out doing experiments for themselves, they sort of put themselves in a student's point of view, and so that they can see what sort of challenges the students might experience themselves, and as teachers what they can do to alleviate some of those difficulties and challenges. And it allows them to bring that firsthand experience, this sort of love for the Chesapeake Bay and discovering new things in new environments to their classroom.
Being exposed to an activity where it's outside of my comfort zone helps me to understand that sometimes I'm going to take kids outside of theirs, and we're going to go into the environment and do something maybe they're not familiar with and they're not comfortable doing, and I want to make sure that I make it so that they get comfortable doing that, so that the experience is so positive that they go, I can't wait to go do that again.
These teachers are getting the experience to motivate them to go into the school year and to bring all this information back into the classroom and to connect the classroom to the bay.
I can use this trip as incentive, get those kids going to say, hey, look, school isn't all pencil, paper in the classroom. There's other ways of learning, and bring that enthusiasm and hands-on experience back to them.
I think this workshop does a really nice job of giving teachers the space to really think about how to develop meaningful and investigative questions that are applicable to the work they're doing in the classroom. So if you're a biology teacher, what are those Chesapeake Bay investigative questions you can look at? To get students involved in citizen science and really actually maybe more thinking about how science influences their lives, I think the environment and the world around us is a key part of engaging students, because we all live in some kind of community, some kind of environment, and you may not understand all the different ways that you are connected to the different systems that exist within that environment. And through authentic student-driven investigations, I think you have a really good chance of students making their own connections, not prescribed connection, but their own connections to the environment, to the science they're learning about the environment and the other content areas.
The workshop is also designed to focus mostly on outcomes and on how data and telling stories about environmental issues through the use of data, what does that mean to a student? How does a student take that information and say, well, so what? What does that mean for me? And so we make sure that through our activities, we are constantly engaging teachers in discussions on what are the stewardship aspects of this issue? How are we looking at these systems and our place in those systems? How are our behaviors day to day impacting those systems? And how can we change that behavior? How can we make it so that it's a more positive impact?
We know that making decisions and being a steward of the environment comes out of a whole bunch of different places, like your family, but schools are a really big part of that. And schools provide you with both sort of knowledge but also experiences. And so connecting those two things, we hope, provides people with a connection to the environment. And then with that connection, hopefully that gets incorporated into what you believe and what you value. And so that decisions you make down the road are based on beliefs and values that are grounded in some kind of science knowledge and understanding of how the systems in the broader environment actually work and work together and are connected.
One of the things that makes this workshop so enriching as a facilitator and as a provider of this kind of professional development are the teachers themselves and the collaboration that we see the teachers use. And it's rewarding to us because as agencies that come together, DNR, Chesapeake Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve, NOAA, CBF, all of us kind of come together and use a mentor teacher, and we collaborate ourselves to make this a worthwhile experience for them. And then to see it turn around and blossom into more collaboration and encouragement, and this is what I do, and wow, I never thought about that. It's entirely motivating to the staff, to the facilitators.
Everyone was so engaged. Everybody put 100% in. Everybody came up with these great plans and presentations. Everybody shared information, and they cared so much about what they were doing, and they were 100% positive about it. And that just, for me, that made this a great experience.
NOAA is a big, huge environmental science-based government agency, and there is a lot of really important and really good work that's going on to try and understand everything from the sun to the bottom of the ocean. And that kind of science is actually something that's really a really powerful thing for folks to know about. And the more folks know about what resources are available in organizations like NOAA, the more you'll understand about how that contributes to our understanding of the way the world works, understanding the challenges that are ahead of us, and how we move forward in terms of all the challenges that are presented to us and all the opportunities that are presented to us.
NOAA's National Estuarine Research Reserve System is actually 28 research reserves that have been protected for education and research, and they are basically all across the country. And this is a federal to state partnership. So what that means is that we basically collaborate with the states in terms of protecting these areas and setting aside for education. So we have a variety of interpretation centers, but we have a lot of scientists actually working at the research reserves. With all of these teacher trainings that are happening throughout all of the research reserves, but particularly with this one on data and the estuary, the idea is really that the teachers are going to be able to work with their students, have their students think about how they can protect, how they can restore, how they can improve the water quality, and any kind of action they would be taking is in some ways helping our estuarine system. The teacher is the conduit to connecting the dots between the students and our research reserves.
Chesapeake Bay Foundation's mission is to save the bay. And we do that through a couple different ways, and mainly here at the Karen Noon Center we focus on education. So this workshop's really showing the teachers how to take what we do in the field here and continue it back in the classroom. We only get to work with the students for short time periods. On the islands it's about 3 days, and we try to make a big meaningful event through that time period, but we know that the longer the students are involved in the education about the bay, the more they're going to care about it. So having the teachers out here, it's showing them and giving them the tools they need to take what we've taught out in the field home and continue teaching it for the rest of the school year.
I don't think science is restricted just to the science classroom. It's all around us. We can read literature about it, we can write stories about it, certainly learn the vocabulary about it. So I think the opportunity for cross-cultural education with a workshop like this is just invaluable for our students at Sherwood and in Maryland.
I think the best part of the workshop has been the pelican banding. It's an experience that I would have never been able to get anywhere else, any time else.
The best part of the workshop for me is getting to meet with my colleagues and spend time with my teacher colleagues, not just the ones at my school, but the ones also in the state of Maryland that are attending, and compare best practices and talk about our strategies.
The collaborative environment has been the best part of this workshop so far.
I would love to do something like this every summer.